Welcome back to the Professional Lovers channel. I'm Al.
And I'm Patty. And
we're
we are the Professional Lovers. Yes, we are. And thank you for joining us. If you're here, it means that you are, one, a fan of Married at First Sight. And two, if you are a regular, then you know what we do. We talk about marital issues through the lens of Married at First Sight and bring in our small bit of experience of 27 years being married. So we're glad you're here. Like us, share us, and if you're not a subscriber, subscribe.
Please.
Because we are also thinking about talking about the new series, Married at First Sight, Unmatchables. Because we were single once, and we were older singles when we met and got married in our 30s.
True.
So we lived a long single life as well as a pretty long married life. So stay tuned. You may see some recaps coming on the Married at First Sight Unmatchables. But meanwhile, let's get started with this week's episode of Married at First Sight, which was a couples retreat. The couples retreat, right, before Decision Day.
Yes.
Right. They basically have 1 week until they decide if they want to stay married or get divorced. Yeah. And so, as usual, I think this time we start with Haley and Jacob, who did their usual of really, Jacob this time really could not contain his dissatisfaction, disdain. That's kind of strong, but it came across that way several times.
I mean, for him to be as quiet as he is, and for him to be as pointed as he was,
every comment was a
snip,
a biting comment about Haley, and although it was very interesting that they won.
The competition of knowledge.
Who knows your spouse best competition. You know, so, but they left.
They left to go to the retreat separately. And they returned because, of course, you start off separately in different cars. You have to return in different cars.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not sure why Haley thought that he would let her know when he was leaving, because the whole point of going separately is to leave when you want to.
Yeah.
So they weren't there
together,
really, you know. Although when they did the little love letter to each other, I think that was before the actual retreat.
Yeah.
They at least were able
to... They were
to
cordial with one another, I think honest.
Positive prompts to each other, positive kudos, I should say, to each other about the good aspects of their character.
Yeah.
But we already know that they're not going to make it. So, moving on to Virginia and Eric, who are trying to work things out. Eric did accuse Virginia of embarrassing him on camera. And this on camera thing is a real problem for a lot of
Some
people.
Yeah.
But that's the show, people. I mean, if you're considering being on the show and you're agreeing to be on camera, and you just have to be a person who kind of lives your life out loud to be on camera.
Yeah.
If you want to be authentic. That's what you signed up for. So, because Ryan has the same problem. You know, as Eric has the same problem, and we've seen couples in the past have the same problem. Y'all need to go get over it, or don't be on the show.
Really?
I'm just saying. But anyway, they're dealing with the same thing about, you know, how they blend their lives together, what that looks like for the two of them.
Who's moving where, bringing what, and how they're going to coexist in the same environment.
And they both admit to being stubborn.
They don't have to admit it.
Well, at least they do.
Yeah. Because
you can be and think that you're not.
True.
But they both admit
you know that you are what you are.
To being stubborn. And two things that stood out to me with Virginia and Eric this time. One, she told him that the fact that she is a runner, we already know that. She's told him that before. And the fact that She has felt like running, but has chosen not to.
True.
Because of the commitment of marriage.
Right.
And his response
let us know that he did not hear what she said.
Yeah.
And that is part of the Ericisms of, I have this idea, and there's nothing wrong with your idea, but when your idea is affecting someone else, you have to take into consideration that your idea may have to be amended or at least discussed in the detail where it's understood. It's not just your idea or that's it, because you've gone there numerous times. Well, I'm done.
Yeah.
If you can't understand what I'm saying, sometimes you ain't clear with what you're saying.
And so the issue with his response being, well, I don't want you to just do things because you're married. I want you to do things because you want to. But that's what she's doing. She has said, I'm a runner. I've felt the urges to run, but I have not. Because I am married and there is a commitment there.
And if you do not understand that you are part of that reason,
then you're missing the whole point.
Totally.
And you missed the whole point, Eric.
Yeah.
And your response indicated that you missed that point.
Shame.
And that is because all that did was just, set the stage for another argument.
Yeah.
But she says, that she has discovered that love is a commitment. And that is what we have said all along.
Totally. It's a choice. It's a decision.
Our book, Becoming a Professional Lover, that love is a principle. It's a commitment. It's not based on feelings. And that is what she expressed.
Yeah.
But he couldn't hear that because he wasn't listening. He was hearing her, but he was already in his head formulating what he wanted to say about his idea of everything.
Yeah.
That's not a way to listen. Now, the second thing that stood out was on her end, her and her cats.
Yeah.
I know you love your cats, but do you love your cats more than your husband? To say that my cats still need to sleep with me in our bed and I'm allergic, that shows that you're being self-centered, not other-centered. And what is this with people loving animals more than they love human beings? We see that across the board in so many different things in society where your animals take precedence over human beings.
Because it's a matter of control. I mean, you have control over that animal and they show you unconditional love. There's no resistance. There's no rebuttal. There's no anything. There's no negativity. And if, they scratch you or they nibble on you or whatever, you can pop them and they'll figure it out, but
is that what it is?
It's simple. It's a one-sided relationship.
Well, animal lovers wouldn't say it's one-sided, but in the sense that there is no back and forth, there is no discussion, there is no reasoning, there is no yeah.
I mean, no relationship, because that's what you're doing. You're relating. No relationship is one-sided. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a relationship. It can be a negative relationship, but there's something that a person gets out of it. And I'm not saying that animal lovers don't get anything out of the relationship.
I mean, we had a dog.
Yeah.
But see, in my mind, the dog is a dog.
True.
And my son is a human, my husband's a human, and the dog is never going to take precedence over them.
True.
But we all live happily together. And Virginia, that's what you need to figure out.
Yeah.
How you can live happily together with your husband who is allergic to cats.
Yeah.
Without having to get rid of the cats. So, we hope you figure that out. Okay, because otherwise, that makes no sense that you would subject him to allergies and all of that so that your cats can continue to sleep on you in your bed. No. All right, Brianna and Vincent. Well, once again, Vincent was in an uncomfortable situation with the horses. But kudos to Vincent for facing his fear head on and getting up on that animal and riding, although he did not really enjoy it.
He was not in his comfort zone whatsoever.
And kudos to Brianna for recognizing that he was completely uncomfortable and allowing him to voice that feeling and, helping him through it. Now,
I was going to say, and even going a step further in knowing how uncomfortable he is with certain things, especially being surprised at, major events, that she was willing to understand his fear on things and will discuss them with him. And maybe even, and we kind of thought about it, maybe even if there's an event that they want to do or that she would want him to do with her, that they could be trained for it. You can't train for jumping out of an airplane. I mean, you can, but jumping out of an airplane or bungee jumping, those are extremes. But in things that may take him out of his comfort zone, she's willing to discuss and find out exactly, how he feels about it. She's not just going to surprise him with it.
Because he said, don't surprise me.
Yeah, don't surprise me.
Like you did with the horses. And
I think, just going back regarding Vincent, that's what people may have felt about his attitude, his immediate wall up for dealing with his discomfort and things, and he's just not one to...
He doesn't want to look foolish.
Right.
Or silly or embarrassed.
Yeah.
And she's like, man, get over it. It's okay. I don't care about that. But exactly. He cares.
True. And that matters. That definitely matters.
It absolutely matters.
What she has to do continually is reinforce her feelings for him under all circumstances, no matter what it is that he finds himself in, because that's what allows him to eventually be totally vulnerable with her and not be so concerned about his appearance and the perception of what one might think, especially his wife, because you're going to find yourself in every situation under the sun, good, bad, indifferent, embarrassing, stupid, maybe even just flat out wrong. But you have to be able to override that or get past that or get through it. Not get past it, because it won't be forgotten. It won't be, it won't disappear. But in understanding the strength of your love for your spouse will allow you to get through anything.
Now, she did apologize to him for planning that activity without talking to him first, which is great because that acknowledges that, you have to understand your spouse's understand and recognize the differences between you and your spouses. And you're not supposed to try to turn your spouse into you.
Right.
Now, the beauty of a great positive relationship is that you both will rub off on each other. And you both will take on some of the strengths of the other that maybe you did not have before.
True.
But that is not something that you start out with the intent of doing, right? Like, I'm going to change him. No. I'm going to change her. No. What you're going to do is be you.
Any change should be organic.
And support him or her to appreciate the differences. One tip in our book says, oneness in harmony, not sameness, holds a marriage together. You should never be trying to make your spouse or turn your spouse into you.
Yes. That's boring.
The beauty is the differences work together to enrich each of you.
And it can be fun when you happen to see similarities and even identical things, such as this morning. What do you want for breakfast?
And I said, a hearty steak and egg biscuit.
And I said, get out of my head.
Because he was thinking of the
exact same thing.
We do that quite a bit.
Yes, we do. After 27 years, it's inevitable. There's similarities.
Right. But, stop thinking that your spouse is supposed to operate just like you.
Yeah, no,
And I was hoping that Brianna left Vincent alone to sleep later since they were on a retreat. They were on vacation. So she wasn't trying to force him to be up at the same time as her. Just a little sidebar there.
She did poke him once. And he was like,
Yeah. All right. So Clara and Ryan. You know, this is interesting. First of all, their love letter to each other was very interesting on his part. It kind of irked me a little bit because his love letter was all about thanking her for what she does for him.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he says, thank you for loving me. So he knows that she loves him, but he doesn't know he loves her.
She couldn't write that in her letter.
And everything about her letter was more about, you know, what she feels as a result of being connected to him.
Yeah.
Everything in his letter was about what you
are bringing to my
existence. Yeah, what you're doing for me.
Yeah.
And that's such a problem. And yet when she talks about, you know, the difference that he has brought to her from a relationship standpoint, it's all butterflies and rainbows, and it's all positive, and it's all, you know, and sometimes I wonder if that's for the camera or is that for real?
Yeah. Because
we know that she's frustrated with the lack of physical intimacy that he gives her. And she's worried, and I would kind of be too, if my partner couldn't say that they loved me before we have to make a decision of staying together. Now, you know, again, loving somebody and being in love with them are two different things.
True.
So that's concerning her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, does she have a right to be concerned? And I'm kind of like, yeah. After 2 months, I would say yeah.
But I did have a thought that because of how much more she is receiving from this relationship, I thought about how much different maybe this relationship is compared to all of the other ones that she may have had. And she's getting something else filled that
she didn't get before.
Right. That has never been recognized.
Well,
before.
She did say that in the other relationship, she was basically abused. We don't know how, whether it was just, you know, mental, emotional.
And was that every relationship or, you know, just recent ones or whatever the case may be. But, and I just wondered if this
deeper connection.
Yeah. Is something that's specifically for her to reach a point in her that has never been reached before. And I'm getting the feeling that a lot of what she's getting is something that she just does not recognize. Now, it's not to say that sex is not a part of it, but I'm just wondering if because of all of the other things that she is getting, that the
physical
lack of is causing her to recognize other things. So that's just a thought. Possibly.
Whatever it is, she feels like it's way better than she's ever experienced, and she's willing to wait him out, at least right now.
Yeah.
She appears willing to wait him out to see if that other piece falls into place. So, right now, what are your predictions? Who's staying together?
Brianna and Vincent.
I concur.
I even think Clara and Ryan. Not to put a caveat in it, but I even would like to hear him say, I want to stay married to you because
I love you. That has happened before.
Yeah.
That's happened before.
Yeah.
So, you know, it could be that climactic thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel pretty confident that those two couples will stay together. Virginia and Eric.
Virginia is showing her fear She's been overriding it by staying, by somehow absorbing what she's hearing, because we're all hearing the same thing. And sometimes that ultimatum thing that rubs me wrong. And I know a man has to be decisive and all of that and yada yada yada, but this is not about being decisive. This is about being in compromise and understanding one another and being willing and open
to negotiate.
Right, because you are two individuals with two totally different backgrounds.
Two sets of needs.
And see, and that's the thing that, he's even talked about them having two different backgrounds, but when he goes into detail, all he does is talk about his background. He never refers to her background. And if you don't refer to it, you don't really think about it. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think if he was just more cognizant of where she's coming from, just her whole existence, her fiber has been created because of what she has not had. Are you willing to provide that? And that's a soft place to fall. She's never had that. And he is not presenting himself as a soft place to fall.
So yay or nay for them? On the fence.
Yeah, that's truly a fence.
It could go either way.
Yeah.
And I would understand if it went either way.
Yeah.
Because they have expressed love for each other.
Yeah.
But they've got some major clashing points that they have to really learn how to negotiate. Jacob and Haley? Nope.
Jacob was out at dark.
Yeah, right. At before daybreak.
Yes.
He was gone.
You don't have to look for me because I'm not here.
He was gone. So those are kind of our predictions, and we'll see what happens. Maybe not next week, but the week after. Yeah. Next week is probably like, the lead up to the big decision day.
So if it is, are we taking a vacation?
What?
If it's a lead up, a recap of everything, I mean,
we'll
not to say that we won't look at it, but I'm saying if...
Well, maybe we take a vacation from Married at First Sight, but then we can replace it with Unmatchables. So you have to join us next week to see what we end up doing.
Yeah, because some of that precursor stuff.
For Unmatchables, got me shaking my head.
Scary.
Yep. Folks are scary. Anyway, we'll see what happens next week. Until then, be safe. Peace.
And enjoy.